Hello, welcome to another video where I talk about Speedmasters. Here we've got a 105012 66 central boîte. The 105012 66 came in two case executions. It came in a Franken, which all the other 105012s used, and this the 66 CB is central boîte, and we determine it's a central boîte because it has facet lines running lengthwise along the top of the lugs, and you can see it super clearly in this example here, and then here, and then here, and then here. For comparison, a Franken case, it doesn't matter where I roll, there's no line. This area here is also a different shape to the central boîte, but it's a more subtle difference. The easy way to spot it is the facet line. The 105012, lovely watches, distinguished by their fat-necked, short-topped pushers. These pushers are about a mil shorter than the standard. Again, I've got a comparison for you. I'm going to bring it up. That's the 145012. You can see it's a different shaped pusher. These pushers often get changed for service pushers, and the service pushers have thin, narrow necks and not nearly so attractive to me. And by way of an example, here is my little special that I made using a Mark II movement and dial, and you can see that the necks of the pushers are thinner. Yes, this Mark II special was built into a 66 CB case that had been serviced. Bought it on eBay, the case, back in the days where you could buy spare parts for Speedmasters on eBay, and you didn't have to sell a small car to pay for it. This watch is very nice. It does have a problem. The problem is the bezel, where it's received a big dent. But if we look at the watch carefully, body color is black, no secondary color. The print is intact around, and the dial itself has no blemishes, marks, dots, degradation of any kind at all. It's a lovely dial, it's absolutely superb. And when we move on to look at and examine the plots, we can see that they are even colored. They look original. There's that very slight, under a loop, evidence of some sort of dirt or just age, really. I mean, you can't see it when I show it to you here. You really can't. It's lovely, that dial, absolutely lovely. So the dial is excellent. The bezel is dot over 90, but it has this dent, and it has a few marks elsewhere on it, which takes it out of the category of good. It's correct, but it's not good. Now the rest of the watch is very good, excellent actually, the dial, but the case has lost its brushing, just like most of them. It lost its brushing through wear and then probably subsequent watchmaker polishing, but I don't mean a repolish or a reprofile, that dreadful phrase that gets bandied about through Rolex communities. I've never really understood the whole unpolished thing. I mean, if I had the choice between a beautiful looking watch and something that looked like it had been chewed by a bulldog with titanium teeth, I wouldn't mind a polish sometimes. I mean, you know, just because something's unpolished doesn't necessarily make it fine. Usually it doesn't. In fact, usually if the best thing you can say about it is that it's unpolished, it looks like it's been through a washing machine or something. Anyway, this one's had a light polish. Does it reduce the value to me? well, in an ideal world, you show me a Speedmaster with the original sides, and it's almost certainly going to be an extremely fine watch, or a new mid-case, a replaced mid-case. It's so unusual to find a Speedmaster of this age with original brushed sides as it left the factory without damage or wear. They exist, but if you limit yourself to only buying those, you're not really going to find much. And do you know what? Some people want to live like that. They want to. The hunt is more important to them, and good luck to them. I actually like to bring stuff home. So since we're here, we talk about the loom and the hands. These hands, there is some degradation to the loom and the hands and everything. They look like they've been removed, replaced a couple of times. They're probably original hands. They don't have the sort of perfectly matching colour of the loom. They're not far away. They're attractive. It's nice. It's actually what people strive for. So, with a CB case, if we turn it over, we get what we expect in that we have a single bevel case back. Here we can see quite clearly the fat necks, a little bit of discoloration to them. Looks good. If you turn over the case back of a earlier than 66, you get the double bevel on the back. Dun, dun, you see? 2 steps. Now, this particular one, it's got a slight blurring here of the top line. It could be polishing, it could be something. It's not ideal. It's something to be borne in mind when valuing, but it's not the worst I've seen. Incidentally, if you want to see the back of the 66 HF, that's the HF and it's 66. They're the same. Absolutely the same. Can't tell from the outside the case back difference between the 66 HF and the CB. It's only when you flip it over and you see the markings inside. This one has pearlage as well. While we're on the subject of inner case backs, here's an inner case back, very unusual because it has a double marking. It's an HF case back. It's 64, so it has the double bevel. This time the bevel is slightly blurred, so it had a little polish at some point. But it's got the 145012 stamped in it as well. There's a few of these floating about, these double stamped case backs, very interesting. If you, the ones I have seen on watches, and this one isn't on a watch, the ones I have seen on watches come back with the extract saying 145012, and I can only imagine that the Amiga just used old case backs. Here's a 66 CB case, so that's exactly the same as that. And there you can see the HF and the CB case backs. The only way you can tell them apart is by the markings inside. Okay, enough of that. Let's have a look inside this beautiful watch here and see the movement. I, as usual, use Paul's wonderful opener. It's quite stiff because this watch has been just returned from Simon Fries, who did the service on it, who I send everything to, almost everything. Let's flip off that. And what do we see here? 105012-66 with a little CB mark. Let's take the this dust cover is not as polished as some of them. There we go. I don't know why. This one has a dull matte finish. Good. Now let's look at this movement. I mean, I'm expecting a perfect movement because Simon's just had it. So once again, we're looking at a 3-2-1 with the sort of signature horseshoe bridge. What we're also looking at a 3-2-1 is the column wheel here. The column wheel here is literally a wheel of columns. If this breaks, good luck finding another. You won't. You have to buy a Speedmaster movement or something. They have been known to break. I haven't actually had one break in a watch with me, touch wood. But they do. I have bought a watch with a broken one. So when we're looking, look at all the screws. These are all clean. No signs of any turn damage. We look at the white metal parts. These are all clean. The hammer, oh, look at that. Yes, all really shiny and clean. The bridges all match in color. This is no doubt an original, correct movement. Very happy with that. Okay, we'll put the dust cover back on. These gloves are much more comfortable than serial killer gloves because you sweat in them, and I know that watchmakers use their little rubber finger ends, but I don't. I prefer these. Also, I feel I can sort of clean off things when I see a problem. Also, I saw the head of the Amiga Museum wearing them, and I thought that's a good idea. After I initially thought that's a bit extreme. So that's the nice one. Now we could change the bezel. I could, but then if I changed it, it would no longer be original as it came to me. And I don't know, I just have this habit of keeping things really. I might change it, but I don't know. This is a great watch. It's a great watch. It's not a valuable watch. It's a great watch. It's got a nice look to it. Yes, it's damaged. The dial loom is damaged. The bezel has lost some paint. The case has been very slightly polished. Yeah, who cares? You know, it is what it is. It's a very, very attractive watch. It wears extremely well. Yeah, no, I love it. There you go. So I think that's all I've got to show you. I will just finish with a quick tour of my super favorite watch. This is the Mark II movement and dial that I bought from Romania about 10 years ago, and it arrived through the post off an eBay advertisement where the photograph showed the Mark II watch and a completely frosted crystal under which I could just see grey and a bit of orange or red. That's all I could see. I didn't even know if they were the right hands. I was the only bidder. It was, by today's standards, extremely cheap. To give you some idea of just how cheap, 2.5 years ago, I sold the case completely untouched. I sold just the case for more than I paid for the watch. So this, I lifted the movement and dial out and I put it in this case, and I don't know if you can tell what this case is. You should have a good guess because, well, I showed it to you earlier, but this has the remnants of the facet lines. So it's a CB, you can just see there. This case has been polished, and I bought it off eBay again about, I don't know, 10 years ago or so. It does work. I mean, it's because I use it. It's so this this watch I built up. This is a classic Franken watch, and you can have a lot of fun with these. The bezel, that is a dot over 90 bezel. Under there is a dot over 90. And I bought the bezel off eBay for £5, and I think that was mostly postage. So there you have my video for the day. I hope you enjoy it. If you want to see anything particular, leave a message. I'll always try and get back to you, particularly in these days of isolation, and I'm so lucky that I'm isolated within reach of some of my watches, so I can have a nice play.